are starting. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this. Oh, that's not December 21st. That's next time. This is the 7th. We're doing troubleshoot. Oh, next time is December 21st. Yes. Today is the 7th. Sorry, getting prepared here. Today is December 7th. Boy, where did this year go? It's just been amazing how this year has flown by. I hope everybody's well and been able to get through this year okay. Ready for the holidays, I hope. Today is actually National Pearl Harbor Remembrance Day, so we appreciate those veterans out there from the U.S. and others that assisted. Also, it is Cotton Candy Day. I had no idea. But anyway, loved it as a kid, and we are don't really have much more of that. My grandkids love it though. Anyway, as we go forward, we're going to be doing the ZENworks agent troubleshooting on today's ZENcast Live. Let me turn the volume down on this other machine. And I appreciate everybody being here. This is ZENcast Live doing ZENworks agent troubleshooting. Next time, we're going to be doing some of the ZENcast favorites and New Year upcoming topics so that you can see what to plan for next year. A couple of things. We meet the first and third Tuesday of each month at 9 o'clock MDT, North America time. And we are also subscribed to the Microfocus support and training channel so you can get the recordings if you miss them. Some of the detailed reportings you can pick up at the Unified Endpoint Management page. All the recordings are out there under Unified Endpoint Management. We have all the ZENcasts, and then they're also duplicated in the corresponding product so that you can see them in the product if you just go directly to the product that you're interested in. Also, ZENcast Live upcoming schedule is here. We have a schedule out there on the YouTube channel and on our communities page, and you could see what's coming and what has passed. So we're currently at the ZA troubleshooting, but also notice that we have every topic down below. So if you're looking for a particular product topic, you can search on those and go either directly to the beginning or to the demo directly. So you're well informed on what we've done in the past as well. So this is a great library. We keep that up. Some house cleaning tips. We would like you to log into chat so you can no headphones, Kurt. I decided to use my mic and I don't have to listen or I don't have a guest. So thank you for pointing that out. I think it's a little bit better. It's a little more comfortable too. So the housekeeping tips, log into the YouTube chat so you can chat with us. You can subscribe to the notifications. Be sure to put comments in if you're watching the recordings. You can put an @ direct message to somebody that's in chat currently so that you can converse with them. Some of the basic settings are set here by the gear in YouTube, turning autoplay off so you don't get lost if it should disconnect. And then the auto 720p 60 is your best quality for this particular stream. Microfocus Ideas Exchange. So remember to go out to the Ideas Exchange on the different products. This one is Service Desk. It helps for being able to let us see what you want in the product, what you might need to be using it for, a use case, which always helps support getting it into the product. And then the discussions are here if you have any issues that you're looking for, and then tips and info. Also, there's a blog out here for that gives you a general blog information, like the public beta is now available, licensing for MFDC, filer. So these are the different blog areas. But please visit that occasionally so that you can see what's currently going on in the product realm. Right now we're doing the ZA troubleshooting, and then next we're going into, it's going to be fairly light on the 21st. ZENcast favorites, topic review, New Year's ZENworks announcement, and then coming into the new year with a big bang. So I appreciate everybody contributing as you have. Please let me know what you'd like to see. Email me at zen@microfocus.com. We'd love to put some of your needs into the ZENcast so that we can actually get you what you're looking for. If it's related to ZENworks, bring it on in and send me the suggestions so we can get you on the calendar for this next year. All right. So, Universal Endpoint Management and Protection version list. We're going to go over this real quick and then we'll get right into the demos. We're at update 2. There's a TID out here. If you download this particular presentation, you'll be able to actually get this particular presentation locally, and you can either follow along or you can refer to it later. But you can actually get the links in the TIDs so that you can go to them. There is a what's new and README for update 2. There's an upgrade cookbook, and then some components. These are for the components of ZCM, ZAM, ZPM, ZECM. As you know, the whole suite is fairly big. Currently, we're at ZRS 7.8. There's a what's new and README there. We're currently at Service Desk 8.2.1. 8.3 is in public beta, and you'll have a link in this later in the next slides. And then Micro Focus Desktop Containers 21.9 was just released this week. So 21.9 is available now, and you should be able to download that from your SLD portal. Some reminders that we want to go over. If you have an appliance, do your security updates. Remember, each month we do a PRU out there for product recognition. The ZENworks community, as we said, go to the Ideas Exchange, put in your votes. It's very helpful for us. It gives us the idea of what the most use cases are, and we can start planning for those updates in the particular product. Also, the Windows 11 support patch is in SLD at this time. So go on into your SLD. If you're looking for ZCM Windows Support 11 patch, you should have supporting Windows 11 21H2 as managed devices IOA. That's a server, and then you also have an agent. Okay, so be aware that those are out there. This is for managed devices and inventory only agents for Windows 11 support. So I know that's been out there. We do have a patch for it. If you're not aware of that, go out to SLD. You should be able to download it or contact support. And then Zookeeper shut down. There's an issue out there, so there's a TID out there for that. And then also the ZCM Public Beta 8.3 scenarios. So currently we have the public beta just started this week. We're going to have our first meeting Thursday. Jump on in. We'd love to have you if you're testing it. You also don't need to prep for this particular beta because it's on AWS. So you're able to actually just go out there and do the exercises and see what this version has for you in this product. So these are all the different areas that we've enhanced along with some fixes and patches. And then there's the 8.3 scenarios is down here. You can download there or off the beta site. So if you can log into Vibe, you can send zen@microfocus.com that you want to participate, and we'd be happy to have you join. It's every Thursday. It's every Thursday from December 9th through January, I think, 16th. Okay? So be aware that we are doing that. It's easy. We'd love to get your feedback and better understanding on how we're doing moving forward with this product. And again, MFDC 21.9 is available. There is Technician Insights series that's out there, the recordings, and also if you like this or the Filer streams, there are also group-wise and OES streams as well that Robin Redgrave is doing. So if you download this particular presentation, you'll have those links right in the presentation. You can go to those and register for those as well. Trying to get that information out there that's up to date and the latest for you. We're going to recap a little bit about last week. We did Service Desk getting started in detail, going real slow, understanding the getting started, the types and the levels of installation, and how you have to start from the top and work down to the individuals, like individual items. So you have types and categories, understanding the system requirements, understanding the different user roles, and access to your and assess your organization. These three are probably the great starters before you even have to install, right? Because at this point you have a good understanding of how you want to lay it out, and then you can lay it out the first time and evolve it from there. So you can install it and it can always be evolved, but being able to start with a better understanding is what we hope that last week's presentation showed. There also is a particular ZSD 25080 to implement the ZSD store. And even if you're not implementing the ZSD store, this particular training starts from install. So you can actually see the install and how things are put in order so that you can have it up and running, and then actually get to the store if you wanted self-provisioning for your users. Okay. Today's agenda, we're going to cover ZENworks Adaptive Agent troubleshooting. So we're going to get into the logs. We're going to, there's ZENinfo, there's ZAP logs, I'm going to give you some references, I'm going to give you some tools. So there's some tools out there that are really valuable. And then we don't want to forget things like the reports and the standalone updaters. Okay, so we're going to get into those today because we really want to see. Now, this isn't a fix-it type demonstration. This is more of, if you're troubleshooting the ZENworks Adaptive Agent, what can you do? What are the resources at hand for you to be able to troubleshoot effectively? Okay. So we're going to go to the lab. I'm going to minimize this. Actually, this will be good. Let me go to my lab. I'm going to turn me off. And here we go. So if there's any chat, please put them in the messages in the chat so that I can get to them. We have a couple of devices here that we've run ZCM logging on. I'm going to adjust this a little bit so we can go through some of the details in here. So some of the things that we're going to cover is the technician application and logging, right? You can get right to the logging directly from the technician application. This particular page, we're talking about the agent, the ZAC commands, right, that you can do. Let me, I gotta scroll. Oh, the resolution is real big on this one. Okay. All right, so let me go here. Guess I'm going to cover part of it. We'll go back and forth on that so you can see full screen. So we're covering the ZENworks agent. So if we go to this is the ZAP launcher, right? So we have some things to launch in here. It gives us different icons and so forth. So you're familiar with these. And you can refresh from here. You can refresh from down here. You can refresh from your system tray. But we're going to go into the technician application. Bit tongue-tied today. Okay, and you're probably familiar with this if you're running ZENworks. If you're not, hopefully you can glean some of what's going on here. We have the properties of where you're connected, right? And this basically comes from your initial web services file and how you're connected with certificates and stuff. And then here are your servers and who you talk to when you're doing particular functions. But we go down to logging, and we could see that currently this is where the logging location will be in the local store. Okay. The nice thing is you can open the log folder directly from here. It'll open up an Explorer and bring you right to the local store. Okay. And the ZMD messages is right there. If we look, we can view the log. We can go directly into the log, which opens up Notepad, right? And then we can also go and clear the log. And should we clear the log, it will then blank it out. And that's really good when you're testing. You find an error and you're trying to get right to the beginning of that. Having that error go right to the beginning of the log, clear the log and then run your scenario so that it'll error out. And it'll clear out a lot of the other details, which makes it nice. But we're going to open up the log folder. The one thing that I want to do is I want to open this with Notepad++. One thing that I've developed over the time is I've created a language, which is ZCM logging language. And that's what I love about Notepad++, is if you go to the ZCM logging, you could see that it'll highlight with different colors. This one particular red for error, whenever it sees errors or fail or certain things that I put in there. In this case, I'm trying to highlight a particular bundle or GUID, right? Other things like I put in the styler over here that if it's pink or magenta, you'll see the version of the GUID of the version of the ZENworks that you're running on, right? So you can easily see what version your agent is on, or if you're looking at other logs, what version your primary servers or satellites are on. So different things like that really help. So this has evolved over a period of a few years, and you're more than welcome to this. I have it out there. There's a link in my presentation, as well as I'll put it out on chat here in just a minute. Okay, so we have this running. We're going to go ahead and close this, and we can see here different things. Now, isn't necessarily bad, so I put it in blue, right? Failed more often than not is bad, but not always. But at least it points it out. So you can see what the different actions are when registration is being managed and so forth. So that's where we're going with that. We're going to leave this one open because I think I had an error on this with a particular, let's see, yeah, a particular GUID. So if we find that, close, we could see that this GUID was starting to fail. And so I put it in there. And which one that one was, let's open up the, here we go. Log back in, we timed out. We're going to go in, bundles, SQL. All right, search. This one I purposely made it fail, and this is the GUID we're looking for. So you could search those inside the, with Notepad++. We don't want to modify it right now. And so you can actually find at least the first part of it and then see. So you're filtering some of that out so that you can get right to the error. So that's one of the things about ZCM messages.log. There's other logs in there. For instance, if you went into, there's Zap. Oh, let's go here. We're in local messages. Local messages, logs. You have Zap with the student. Student 10 is who we're logged in as. So you can see who you're actually logged in as. But here's a Zap error, error log. Okay. And what's going on with that if you're having a particular error. Okay. And so don't forget about the Zap system update issues. We haven't done a system update on this. We installed straight into U2, 2020 U2. So we don't have any system update logs for this particular machine. I wonder if we had one over here. Let's look. And we'll go into, if you want to do it the easy way, logging, and you go open log folder, and we can go up one. We can actually see a ZENcast is who we're logged in here, and we can open this one up. Okay. Oh, we wanted to go to system messages, system update. It shows one was completed. And this will show the GUID of the update. So the last one was 17.4.1 for this particular one. So we can see what we're running on as an older update. Okay. So ZCM messages, and those are in the local store, as you know. There's ZMD messages. That's wrong on the slide. I'll correct that. Again, if you go to you can do ZAC commands. If you just hit ZAC or ZAC help, it'll give you the status of it, of all the different commands. Sorry, dash help. Okay, and you could scroll through here to see what you're looking for. If there's a particular malware command you want to do, you want to check the status of it. For instance, ZAC MAS, it'll tell you probably that there is none because I didn't load it up on this one yet, but it would show you what it is. Okay, there's a ZAC get. I'm sorry, set. I thought there's a ZAC get and set. I guess not. Set folder security. There we go. Okay. All right. But you get the idea. You can check your ZAC ZC is very effective. See where you're connected to, right? Real quick and easy. Hey, are you even connected when you're trying to register? And or if you're having an error, are you connected to anything? You can do a ZAC ZC, which really gets it real quick. Let's go back over to my list and see what else we got. DPP. So dump property pages if you wanted to. Okay. Now the property pages are in the ZAC ZENinfo, right? The ZAC ZENinfo is very effective, and we'll cover that and take a little more time on that particular process. And then of course ZAC help. Here's a ZAC ZENinfo, and it typically will put it in your temp directory. So again, if you wanted to see it, you can just do open up, logging, open log folder. This is where the normal logs are. But then when you do a ZAC ZENinfo, it will actually take you over to, minimize some of this. That's what I wanted to do there. It'll take you to, here's the Zeus logs. And I moved it to the desktop. But if we do a ZAC ZENinfo, it'll go to the temp directory and it'll tell you ZAC ZENinfo. And what does it do? The big part about this is what is it collecting? So it's very important to know where all the bodies lie, right? Where everything is and how to troubleshoot this. So we're going to go into, there's an agent cache, there's an anti-malware, there's a config, which is very effective, inventory, MD status pages, product property pages. These two, property pages and system, are my go-to first when I was troubleshooting. Property pages and system. And then I may go to Zeus and then config and then branch out from there. The reason why is if we go to this particular one, yeah, we're here. So here's everything, right? I go to property page info. As helping you from support side or even as a customer, you want to see what the status of your particular pages are. You want to see what your agent is at. This is how we determine where your agent is at. And we can just go, I guess I'll do Notepad. No, we actually want to do open because it puts it in a prettier format. You recognize this? Yes, this is exactly the same thing as this. Should have come up. There we go. Okay, so we get all of these property pages in the ZENinfo, the status of when the ZENinfo was taken. Not when the error was taken, but when the ZENinfo was taken. Okay, we can see that we're connected to 200. We can see what's running in the processes. If we go back over to servers, it's the same thing. We can see what servers for the roles that we're looking at. Okay, So number one was property pages. Was one of my favorite. And then as we go to the other one was going to the system, because the system, back, system info. And this shows you what's going on in the system. What are your components, right? What version you're at. Okay, so you've seen this is just Windows, just sysinfo. Okay, and as you go down, we could see what IRQs or memory. We could see what devices are here, what your display is, depending on your error, right? So the system info is very valuable to us to understand exactly what type of system we're on. If we have to replicate it, we can then go ahead and replicate it because we have the information of your system. Also installed MSIs. You could see all the MSIs that are installed for this system, which really is helpful in case there's a conflict or something. All right, so it does gather that information. Then I mentioned that I'd go over to config and Zeus, right? So if we went to config info, we can see, now there's a collection info in each one of these, and it basically is basically the results of collecting the config info. So the collection info tells us that we successfully copied. Okay, so you'll see a lot of these repeated, but it's for each individual section that it collects. And if we look in here, we can see the initial web service that we're on. Maybe you're not connecting. We need to see what you're connecting to. Okay, there's your initial web service. Sometimes you'll have one, maybe more of these. You also have your backup in case your certificate was changed. Let's say you did a remit and you're not logging in anymore. This would be one of those files to look at to see if the certificate is updated or not. You also have the device GUID in here. All right, so we can actually see what device GUID is. So there's a lot of information in here that helps us at support to be able to troubleshoot your machine. There's debug logs for system update. I don't think we had any. There's your ZES, which is your security, your logs. Okay. FDE, if you had FDE on. I don't have FDE on in this one. Again, student 10. All right, so the ZAA, the ZENinfo is very effective in what we need to help troubleshoot. And it gives us those logs. Almost all of them. And I tell you that, almost all of them, right? And there may be a need for others. Why do I say that? I say that because a customer has an issue, they take a screenshot, they send it to the help desk, they reboot so they can continue on, and then they go, the technician calls back and says, let's look at that again, and they can't, because maybe rebooting cleared that out, right? Cleared the cache or whatever for that profile, or depending on the environment, right? So I say that in haste that it collects 99% of what we need, but there may be other things we need to do, is like put things in debug to get more detailed information. Okay, and you'll be talking to support about those things. Okay, so the session ZDM messages and is, if you look at, I put session 999 when I first started in support. I didn't realize this, but session 999 means you've now started up the machine. It's done an initialization of the machine. So you can look for that as the start of, because the logs are so big, right? And they just add on and keep adding on and archive and add on. So at least you can see where the start of the last reboot was. You look at your time, you reboot the machine, you can then look near that time to see where session 999 is, and that's the start of the agent. Okay? There's Zeus messages log, there's system update logs on the agent as well, so that you can see what's going on with the system update. There's remote control logs, the NC viewer text, the WinVNC and the WinVNC app log. We saw some of those in here under the, if we open up the log folder, You see the WinVNC and a backup of it. Okay. So it collects these logs, and we're able to help fix your issue. This is more of logging in with Windows and what's going on with Windows. There's other things in the logs too, that registration, imaging, roaming profile. So let's go back to where we were on the debug. So if we go to, we did the product information has the registry. All right. So if we wanted to see what's set in the registry, actually, I don't want to do that again. I want to do open. We can actually see what ZENworks registry keys are set. All right. This is important because we may want to set one to debug. Okay. This one has the certificate in it. Okay. This is a print wait time. And you know, in the documentation, you can set some of these parameters, not just for debug, but also for other things that you need to do, maybe roaming profiles or volatile profiles, group policies, and so forth. There's a series of registries, and they're in my resources for you to change those if you need to, or it enhances your environment for your customers to be able to do what they need to do. Okay. So those are there, the registry and the files as well. These are all the ZENworks files. Okay, CASA for logging in. There's ZENworks for remote control, for policies, for scripts, and so forth. So this way we can see what exact version. If we go to the top, we can see what exact version you are running for these particular issues. And maybe there's an FTF out there, or maybe you've applied an FTF and another issue came along and we need to see what version that is so that we can make sure it's not conflicting. All right. Makes sense, I hope. And so there's imaging, there's roaming profiles, there's group policies. The GP service log is in there. So you can see all your group policies. Let's go over to, I need to go to this guy. All right, so if you have your cache, your agent cache, so we can see what's going on with your bundles and so forth. Okay. Here's all your cache. And that's why this can be large. Anti-malware. So you can see what's going on in your anti-malware, and there's a database. There's not for anti-malware on that one. Config info. These are the comp files. So we could see if something's been changed, if something needs to be changed. Sometimes you can put things in debug in the comp file so that you can get a better reading. Normally there's TIDs for those, or you're talking to support. The debug logs are here. Of course, the event viewer. So we have our Windows event viewer application. On the application side, we can see what's going on. All right. It's going to list all the applications that are events, application events, because this is the event viewer. And then also endpoint security events. Okay, so we gather both of those. I'm going to go ahead and close. We're going to go out. Inventory collection. So again, the bin is more of what your options are, and your options, you can change your options and have things set in there per the documentation. But most importantly, here's your last full and the last partial that have been done for your inventory, so that you can actually see what's going on and compare the delta, right? So this is basically a delta here. Again, that's in Zen inventory. If we go to MD status, this is a database which can be opened. And basically this is a small flat database, and I did a demonstration on this in one of my ZENcasts where we opened it up and we could actually see the bundle, when it was delivered, what version it was, all the different details about bundles and policies, whether it's success, failure, and so forth. Okay, so very important to us if we're dealing with one of those products or one of those issues. We did the files and registry. We did the property pages. Here's your refresh for your device and users. Okay, so if you open that up, you can see what's going on where as far as a refresh. Okay, for each one of those. And then we did the system info, installed MSIs, and then the Zeus. Okay. So that's the ZENinfo. That'll collect the ZENinfo. Now, some of the things it won't collect, like I mentioned earlier, 99%. If you're running FDE, you may need to run FDE diagnostics. If you're running the endpoint security, you're doing policies through that, you may need to do that as well, okay, to gather those details. Here's our event viewer for applications. So as we move forward here, let's see, what do we got next? We got, so these are real important. Now there are group service policy logs that you have to run. That's another one you'd have to run separately. It's not in the ZENinfo. So one thing I wanted to show you is you can create a custom bundle to do this. We had a customer in support where it was exactly that. The customer ran into this issue during login, but it would fail. We couldn't capture it because every time you reboot it, things would be reset. So I want to take you to that particular bundle, and you can get that bundle here through this this link on the presentation, so that you can manipulate it as you need to. But let's look it over real quick. Okay. Go here. We're going to go to, do I have, yeah, I do. All right. We still logged in? Yes, we are logged in. Okay, so let's go over to, I'm going to do full screen here, and we're going to go to bundles. We're going to go to, see if that'll, info collect. Okay, this particular bundle, and I think I presented this one time, but I wanted to go over it again because you could see there's 25 different steps in this, but there's warnings on this when it collects, and we could run this. As a matter of fact, let's put this on. It's on the desktop stuff. Good. So we're going to go through each one of these installs. There's nothing under launch. It's just an install because we wanted the customer to actually go to the application. When it failed, go to the Application Explorer or your Technician application, your Zap window, and click on this, because then it would gather everything necessary for us to help troubleshoot this. We would get the local user file. It would launch ZMD logging in debug mode, okay? And you could see that it logger level debug. So we made sure it was in debug mode before, in case something changed, before we actually gathered the logs. Then we would delete any troubleshooting directories that we might have done previously. We're going to prompt the user for gathering the information. Okay. So we're letting them know. That way they can keep their hands off the keyboard. And then display the gathering TS info. We are now gathering the information, and then creating some directories where it'll put the registry. We actually had to go into the Windows machine and the ZENworks machine registries and files to figure this one out. It was pretty detailed. Then it also installs the policy viewer and had the checklist in it, and also installed SQLite so that we could actually view on that same machine, if we needed to, that particular issue or the databases that were on that machine, or we could check out the policy and also the analysis checklist. Okay, so this was actually a checklist of things we needed to gather so that we could make sure that we can resolve this issue. And that was evolving, right? Because we found one issue, then the next issue, and oh, we need to get these files and that log. And so that grew as time went on. Then we then we started copying things. We created the directories, we installed, then we copied the group services log, some registry settings from the user and the workstation policies, ZMD messages log, even though we captured in the ZENinfo. And then we launched the GP report XML. This is before they even logged out, right? So they're getting we're getting the report exactly from the state where it failed, okay? And then the user list, we're now exporting some of the registry keys, and we then move it all to a single location, launch ZENinfo, and then clean up the directory, and we're out. So let's go over to our guy here. See if we have it in our Zap window. So we'll go to all, collect info. Let's see if it'll run. I haven't run it on this one yet, but you'll start seeing. So here's our first one. We are now setting it in debug. Do you want to postpone it? If not, it's going to continue in 60 seconds. It then starts collecting, gathering information. We're going to say okay to close it, but it would keep going. You could see down in the corner, gathering troubleshooting information. And this is one because the user may not know what's going on, so being able to let them know what's going on so that we can keep their hands off the keyboard and we can try and resolve this issue. Then it's going to go through, it's going to capture a registry depending on how big the registry is on this particular device. Shouldn't be too big, so this should be fairly quick. That was some of the user and workstation registry keys, and then doing a ZENinfo. One thing that I did note in here on the previous page is you can do a ZENinfo and then give a path with a name. And that's what we've done on this one. Is user profile, troubleshooting directory, and computer name and username. So we knew which user was logged in, which computer it was on, and it's a ZENinfo. So we are waiting for that to finish. It should be done in a minute. There we go. It's not very big. This. Now it's packaging the files as you've seen in ZENinfo, and it closes. All right. So here's the one we just ran just now. So if we were to extract this, you can see there's a GP report right there. If we were to extract this, you'll see some extra logs in there that we picked up on top of the ZENinfo. Okay. Oh, that's the ZENinfo. Sorry, troubleshooting. So in here we have the ZENinfo. I just expanded it, but we also have the ZENworks machine. Don't know why that's ZENworks. Didn't gather something. Windows user. I haven't run this on this machine, so I'm curious as to why these are empty. There's some registries. I'd have to go through this and see why they didn't pick up. But now we have the HKLM and the HK user. The trusted zone map we're concerned with because they were not getting to a particular site. And then some GPO keys. Okay. So, and then here's the poll viewer in the SQLite, and here's the checklist. Okay, so these are the things that it should be doing. I'm uncertain at this point why we didn't gather some of those things, because there should have been, under the troubleshooting, there should be things in here as well. But you can download that particular one, tailor it towards what you need for your environment. And you could see how it added extra things that you can use for your troubleshooting. Okay, there's a GP report. I don't have any group policies going, but it would display them, whatever was in effect at that time. Okay, refresh summary. These are the different items we selected in the ZENinfo. Okay, so let's go here. Okay, a couple more things to look at for troubleshooting. So the adaptive agent, like I mentioned, you may have to run diagnostics for the endpoint security or the full disk encryption. There's a couple of logs there that you can see for patch management. The signature files, .pls or LM detection log. Okay, it's good to know what the state of the device is and having those state files when you're doing patch and other things. Anti-malware. There's a couple of things with that new update 2. You have anti-malware and some of the locations where those logs go. Okay. Also the conf, we looked at the initial web service and how it's connected and registrations. You're able to see those. Here's the infamous debug TID, which has been evolved over many, many versions. 11, 17, 2020. Includes 2020 update 2. But if you're looking for a particular registry key, yes, Kurt, you can, if you download my presentation, it'll have a link to my filer. I also think I have it, I think it's ZI. Let's see if that command works, and you can download it there. Thanks for asking. I appreciate that. This should come up with a link, I believe. If you're trying to get a particular component troubleshot, being able to, for the adaptive agent, here's the registry keys and settings you can do. Here's for bundles. This is a long TID. If you have an authentication for Zen login, authentication for the CASA server. Again, bundles, different things you can look at for the bundles, database migration. So this has just about everything you would need to help start your troubleshooting if you wanted to attempt it prior to. Here's your imaging and your different comp files. Doesn't look like ZI took care of it. Let me see if I can find where that is. I'm going to move this one over here. I'll go to commands, second page, ZIC. Okay, you should get it. You should be able to download it there, Kurt. Thanks for asking. Again, we have how to enable and disable. Remember, if you set it up one way, be sure to reverse it. Know how to reverse it. Doing this on a test device is also good. There it is, your ZENinfo Collect bundle. Manipulating the comp file, searching for something that would be in debug, like Zen server is available. So there's some keywords that you'd want to look for. If you want to see if it's in debug at all, then look for Zen server is available in the ZMD messages log. And then satellites. Remember, satellites are agents that are promoted. So those promoted logs as a satellite will appear only when it is a satellite. Okay, so you won't see those other logs until it's a satellite. Another thing to do for ZENinfo, I wanted to let you know, let's see, I got a lot of screens open over here. So on the ZENinfo, if you're on a primary server and you want to gather the service messages and the loader messages and some other logs and the ZENinfo, the different logs in ZENinfo, you can run a ZENinfo and it will gather those additional server logs as well as a great start. Do remember one thing though, it's a large file, right? Because those are much larger you have a lot more going on a primary server. So that's good to know that you can still run ZENinfo on a primary server or a satellite server and get those extra logs. Okay. All right. Databases. Did you know you had databases on your agent? You have the MD status database, you have the file info database, and this is where I did a previous presentation on the different databases on the agent. And it tells you the status of different things like the states, whether it's successful, failure, what the GUID is, where did it go, what files were downloaded, those types of things. So you have Zeus, you have end user settings for the ZAP. Again, the satellite has some logs, some databases as well. And then I threw in the server side. We're not really talking about the servers, but if you gather these logs, because if you're having an agent login issue and you're not contacting that primary, you want to gather the loader messages and services messages or other logs that support tell you so that you can coordinate the two, right? You want to see, did it ever reach that primary server? You may have to do multiple primary servers to see which one it's contacting because it's not contacting the one you're expecting. But do know that when you're talking the agent, you may need to grab some server-side logs, okay? And then marry them together to see, compare, oh, it contacted here, here's the response, here's the next step, and so forth. So you can see that failure. So let's go to our audit messages. We're going to go here. Setup. Another thing that's good that, it's used, but it's really effective is being able to see the agent events, right? User management, login. You can configure that under configuration and audit management and events configuration. And you have change events. Now, the change events are pretty much what's going on in ZCC. And then you have agent events, which is what's going on in the agent. Whether, volume encryption started or there's a failure, logged in, logged out, those types of things. So you can get those actually in your audit messages under events to see what's going on that particular device. I don't have any major issues here, but you can see some of those are turned on. Okay. So don't forget about the audit. Audit really works well. And then system messages, should you need to, you can get to your system messages as well. See what's going on. This is that failed that I told you happened. That was last night. Okay. And we looked that up, that GUID up in the ZMD messages, right? So we're good there. Another application, the dashboards are good. So you notice that we have dashboards in here. I don't have a lot going on in this system, so there you won't see much in here. But these are good. And what's even better, I feel, is going to the advanced search. Because this is immediate. This goes right into the database and searches the database. This is golden. Yeah, thanks, Kurt. Did it come down? Let me know if it came down. So you can actually set these for whichever, this is just another search. And you can add it. You can see what the name of the search is. We're going to say agent 2017. And we're going to add a filter. And we're going to say, I want to do agent version and equal to. If you do equal to, it'll look in the list to see what it has. It only has these two types in the database. But you could do contains 2017 or 17 dot and hit OK. It'll add it to the list. But you can easily go and search for these. Yes, thanks. Good. Thanks, Kurt. Search for these. Use these to search. So there's the devices with 2020 update 0. There's the devices for 2020 update 2. And again, this isn't just for versions. This is like all the other filters that you've seen. What's the IP addresses for a particular device if you want to go directly to it. If you're having an issue with a particular device, maybe you want to put an IP address in here. And so that you can say problem with this device logging in ABC device, right? And then you go equal to, and we're going to go 39. I know that's where he is. And then I have it here for me to search on every day I'm checking this out, so I can go directly to that particular device, right? So device, if you go to devices and advanced, very, very effective. If you're familiar with the different search qualifications and criteria, you can see server workstations, DNS, last contact, is retired, is leased. Where did it go? Did it go retired? Product name, if it's a mobile device, okay? So being able to track down those devices that you need, or get a group of them. If you're doing an update, how many updated last night? You can say to update to. Well, we can just go here and search, and then we can see, we can compare with what it was last time. This is 2 devices. Okay, very effective query that goes right into the database. Standalone updater tools. Don't forget about these guys. Okay, so going to ZENworks setup, right? We'll get you to here, and then you have updates here. Okay. Now, the one thing I've stressed this before on a couple of others, but we're going to go in and we're going to do a remint of a CA certificate. And the reason why I want to do that is I want to show you, yes, we'll go next. We're going to do the same. We're going to start it for the 22nd and hit finish. Okay. It's going to take a minute. It's going to build it. And, all right. Now, if you go over to your ZENworks setup, it may not be there yet. Let's see if it gets there. There they are. Okay. The reason why I tell you this, and I stress this, is if you do a remint, as soon as that December 22nd comes up in that time, these go away. All right. So, because it assumes that you have now updated everybody you needed to. But while it's in that state of sending it out and not active yet, grab these certificates so that you can deploy them in case they're work at home people and you don't want to have to unregister and re-register or remove the agent or whatever you need to do to get it re-going. You could just send them an email or put it on an internal drive so that they can launch it, so they get that update, which is in effect December 22nd. Okay, but these go away after that date is done, because it thinks, okay, we don't need to worry about the old one anymore. We've updated everybody. So make sure you're aware that the certificate's there, that these updates are here, and do that, especially when you do a remint. So you have the agents, right? And you have your inventory tools. Don't forget about your inventory tools. Okay. Inventory only, and then you have your imaging tools, and then your administrative tools. Okay. Now, if you wanted to, remember the administrative tools is not just configuration. You have remote management, so that you could do some remote viewer stuff if you wanted to, endpoint security, scanner utility, and so forth, full disk encryption, the WinP plugin. The other nice thing is you can add to this list if you want to by dropping a file, a tool, whatever tool that may be. Let's say it's a plugin for something for this configuration, like a script or something. This one has a cleanup Sybase script. You can drop them in a folder and they'll appear here. So be aware that you can do that. Do understand that if you went from Sybase on 2017 and you went to 2020 and you had Sybase, so you had to migrate to Postgres or another external database, you would need to, it would back up that Sybase, do the migration, and leave it there, and it's consuming some space. So at some point, you'd want to clean up that Sybase, because once you get to 2020, there's no going back. So at that point, go ahead and clean up the Sybase using these scripts here. Okay. Question Kurt has, if you build a standalone update package, will it show up in the updates page in ZCC? I believe it does, as a matter of fact. Yeah, because I did an update right here. So I did my own December 2021 update. Z-Man CUSP. Unfamiliar, sorry. Don't have that experience on that. I did it in the actual ZCC. Okay, under deployment, I did edit a deployment package and went this way. So I would assume so, but I'm not sure. Okay, fair enough. I want to say it does, but I can't be for certain. All right. So we've covered the standalone updater tools. Thanks, Kurt, for bringing that up, though. That's something to definitely look into. And then the browser, things you can do in your browser, like this one here, and all of those. So I put the list in here. So if we go here and we do HTTPS, and then we go to 7628. Are you running? Thanks, Kurt. Yeah, test and let me know. Did I do that right? 7628, are you running? 20 HTTP. So ZENworks agent is running. So you're trying to troubleshoot whether or not the agent is even running. You can do this simple step just to see that the agent hasn't dropped off and is no longer running, right? So another troubleshooting tip as far as that. As well as there's a lot of different things you can do. You can do a Zen ping. So if we did a, what was that? ZENworks ping? ZENworks and then Zen ping. ZENworks and then ping. Okay, server ping successful. And then if we went to, it's pretty basic, but this goes right into it. So if we went to another one, bundle admin, so, or zone config, let's do zone config. ZENworks zone config admin. ZENworks zone config admin. Oh, this is all one word. Zone config admin. Oh, I have to do ZENworks though. Okay, it's going to ask you, okay, give me some credentials, and I'm going to put in an administrator, super secret password for logging into the zone. Oh, that didn't work. Let me see if I did that right. Zone config, ZENworks is zone config admin. ZENworks zone config admin. Oh, HTTPS. There we go. Okay. Now what you can do here is you can start testing some services. And basically, you're now in the database and doing some very detailed queries, right? This is DNS names. And if you select DNS name, it's going to say, what's the DNS name? And go ahead and invoke. Do you get a response? Typically these, I want to let you know that these are here, but these are typically what we'll be talking to you about if we're trying to get, you have a support call and we're trying to get through to you. But these are documented. These are in the system where you can run these, but knowing how to run them is a little more detailed, and that's where support comes in typically. Okay, but there's a whole list of them. All right. Just so you know that they're there for troubleshooting and things to play with and learn and explore Oops. All right. So we have some final things here. I put in the list, obviously, the ZCM documentation is here for update 2020, update 2. The getting started, I didn't change that to, that should be, yeah, update 2, getting started. You have ZCM troubleshooting in the documentation. So there's a whole section on troubleshooting. Okay, so if you go to troubleshooting, you could see for any of the different things. And a lot of times they'll call out either that TID or some registry keys to try. But things you can check on, is the port open, and so forth. Okay, so there are quite a bit of resources out there. ZCM agent logging. What are the loggings? We went through that a little bit. Agent registry keys, very important if you wanted to set certain things on your registry. You want to allow non-taskbar Explorer, okay? You can set these. These are documented right in the documentation, okay? There was that one where I did the info collect, right? Well, that info collect was, we had to disable and enable some things. So to collect the registry keys to see if that was in fact true, okay? Passive mode login, okay? So there's lots of documented registry keys that you can use to, one, set up your environment, or make sure you have them documented so you know that they're in place, because these are outside the standard setup, right? So you want to document those. Again, the Notepad logging language should go out to the filer to be able to open up that and get that ZCM logging for Notepad++. Okay, if we were to open this up, this is the Notepad++ and all the different keywords and so forth that I put in that. You're welcome to that. Webinars and presentations. Again, the webinars index, you may see that some of these are older dates. They're still, many of them are still applicable, okay, and give you a good insight on what's going on for that particular, in that particular webinar. It gives you logs and details, and so like iOS management or protecting your data endpoint. So even though these are older, they're here for your use. And then ZENcast Live on-demand recording sessions. You can find them out here. As I mentioned earlier, there's a topic, there's a product, and then the demo goes directly to the demo, skipping the front portion of that. There are on-demand training videos for free. These are very effective. And again, if you're just getting into ZENworks or you haven't put that component in place, you can then go out here. There are some 2020 webinars. There's some sections on ZCM telemetry, subscribe and share across zones. So there's plenty of things in here that you'll find that will help you advance your knowledge in that particular area. Okay, databases embedded and so forth, security, patch, and so forth. All right, and these are typically some type of a you log in to access the course, but it is free. Okay, you just have to log into the on-demand training. Okay, and then the upgrade cookbook, which is always a good one to have, being able to see how to upgrade from 2017 to 2020 to 2020 update 2, and different reminders and things that you should know about going into that. Database requirements, diagnostic center, and so forth. Okay, and here's your general reminders. Okay, and then finally, that patch. If you need that patch, here's the information on that patch. You can call support to get it, or you can go into SLD and get it. But this is the patch information about the Windows 11 2021 H2 patch for agent and server. Be sure to download both of them, update your server first, and then your agent. But we do support the Windows 11 21 H2. Okay, so that is close to everything I think we have on today's agenda. If there's any more questions, please call them out in chat. I'll be happy to update them. The rest are product updates, things that if you need to get into the portal, or if you're trying to get into the suite, and here again is that patch for the suite. So these are different slides dedicated to that particular product, and that's what we put forth on these pages. For imaging, if you needed to get the download, Admin Studio. You can see MFDC 21.9 is now up and running. Here are some of the new enhancements. A couple of videos attached, a couple of articles, okay, for the different products. Again, you can review some of the technical insights that we had at Singapore, and the webinar index, on-demand sessions, as well as some articles here, endpoint security malware. Here's an Osterman research paper for backing up your endpoint and so forth. Okay, a few recognitions and a very big thank you for participating in today's presentation, as well as being a supportive of the ZENworks community, whether it's going out there and putting in ideas, or voting, or just giving feedback and running our product. We just appreciate you, and look forward to many years of enhancing the product better and better for you, no matter what ZENworks product it is. So I think that's it. I want to say thank you for joining. Be safe out there. Next time is going to be a very short presentation, only because it's 2 days before Christmas. Okay, we're just going to have we're going to do an update, some of the favorites, and let you know how the statuses are, and then we'll have the updates for the January and February ZENcasts on the next presentation, the next ZENcast. So I appreciate you guys. Everybody, you guys have a great week. Stay safe, and we'll see you in 2 weeks, hopefully. Take care.